Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker. We've just received a question from Justin and Amrita from Scarborough. Their question is, they've been looking on the market and they're looking at a condo and they're seeing condo fees ranging from $250 to $900. And their question is, what's going on? I could kind of give you some of my experience and break down why you would be seeing these discrepancies. One of the things is that if you're looking at newer condos, a lot of times what happens with newer condos is that they always estimate to have like a lower condo fee. It attracts more buyers to buy into the project and whatnot. And then what happens is they start off maybe with like 240, 250 condo fee, and then they go through this whole analysis of how much money is required in the reserve fund and all this stuff. And then guess what they have to do? They got to get money in the reserve fund. So what they do is they jack up your condo fee. So sometimes what happens with newer buildings that are just closed, they basically have like a bare bones minimum as a monthly fee, a monthly condo fee. And then what happens is they do all these reserve fund studies and they figure out how much money they need and they have to increase it. All the owners in the building are part owners into that corporation in a way. They all have to contribute to it. So your maintenance fees goes up. So sometimes when you look at a building that was new and then 2 or 3 years later you look at it and the condo fees doubled, it doesn't really surprise me a lot of times. Okay, so that's one reason why it does this. The other reason also is that you have to look at the amenities that this has. Like one of the most costly and underutilized thing in a building is a pool. A pool inside of a building, most of the time, in most instances, you don't see people really using it. It costs a lot of money to have this pool up and running all the time and for servicing and maintenance and all that stuff. So buildings that have pools, the maintenance fee you'll usually notice they are expensive. And a lot of times what you also see is there's 2 condo buildings and they have these shared amenities because they're trying to save the cost against both of them, because a lot of times the amenities are underutilized. I know myself included, I got very excited when I was buying a condo with the gym. I'm going to go there all the time, use a pool. It never happened, maybe a handful of times. So people buy into this hype, but you end up with a larger monthly payment. There's a lot of reasons. Those were just kind of 2 of the basic ones that we run across. Another one could be is that this building is in trouble. Okay, so there was some kind of mismanagement or something has come up, maybe with the HVAC system, the roof, something has happened to this building, whereas the amount of money that they had coming up on a monthly basis for the condo fee is just not sufficient enough to basically do a long-term bigger project. So if the roof needed to be done, or the elevator, sometimes we see the elevator failed and they weren't planning on this elevator failing, that could also raise up the fees. The other thing we have to look at is this: anytime there's something, a condo corp involved with it, there's going to be a status certificate for it. So a status certificate is a document that usually the seller will provide to the buyer within 10 days of accepting the agreement. So usually the clause is structured in 10 days they'll get it, and that's because most companies that provide status certificate, they require the 10 days. And then the lawyer usually has 2 to 3 days to review it based on how the condition is written. And what the lawyer does with that status certificate is they look at the financial health of that building. So they will look at the financials, they will say, hey, does this building have enough money in their reserve fund? And they'll look at it and say, hey, what capital expenses is this building looking that they're gonna have to incur in the future? Are they gonna have to do windows? Are they gonna have to do the roof? Are the elevators coming up for servicing? Is the underground parking lot gonna need work? And how much is that going to cost? And not only how much is that going to cost, but the amount of money that's in the reserve fund, is that going to be significant to cover those capital expenditures or not? Sometimes what ends up happening is when you're reviewing these status certificates, it doesn't happen to us often, but sometimes it does happen, whereas they're planning on doing this work, but you can clearly see that they're not going to have enough money in the reserve fund to carry this forward. There's one of 2 ways to kind of handle it. If it is a long-term project that it still doesn't need to be done, but they're forecasting that it's going to require to be done, and you can see that they don't have the money in the reserve fund right now, what you could probably expect is happening is that they're going to increase your condo fees. Another thing that could happen is something that they didn't plan for and it needs to be done and they don't have enough money and it needs to be done right now. So what they would do is they would levy against all of the unit owners a special assessment. A special assessment is when they don't have enough money and something needs to get done and they need to get it done right away. So they will levy a special assessment against all the unit owners where they will all incur costs. So there could be a year that in addition to your condo fee, say $500, you got to pay an extra $300 every month for a year so they can raise the money to be able to carry out these repairs. Like I said, there's various reasons why condo fees range. A lot of the time is if it's a new condo, they haven't been established yet, you got to look at the amenities inside of it. You got to look at the reserve fund what type of work needs to be done. Sometimes people think that older buildings have higher maintenance fees. It's not typically the case. If the building is managed well, if the repairs are done in time, things are getting upgraded on time and not letting them fail before they start upgrading them, usually those buildings don't go up quite a lot. The first condo I personally bought into was a really old building. I think it was like 50, 60-year-old building. The condo fees were super reasonable. They were like $350 a month. And even right now, they haven't gone up much. Like I looked at those units again recently and they're about $470. And that was 15 years ago. So I mean, for it to go just to about $470, it wasn't that much of an increase because that building is really managed well. So that's something else you're looking for. If you guys have any other questions about how the condo fees work, I could try to help you out a little bit more on that. And if you have more questions about the status certificate, I could provide you guys with more detailed information about that. Love to hear from you guys. If you guys have any questions, put them in our comments, like our page, subscribe. I'm here to help you guys. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.